What is up, everybody?
What's up, everyone? How we doing? Happy Thursday.
Welcome back. This is our monthly webinar.
Yep.
We talk through lots of different things in the assisted living space. And tonight we're talking about touring and making sales. And man, Laura and myself, we built a massive wait list. We got as high as what, 52 people at one point? And part of it is because of the sales and the touring. And so we're excited to break this down for you tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people write this off. They think, oh, it's not really big of a deal. I don't need to train my team on that or my managers. But I think this was actually the first thing that we taught our managers when we first hired them was how to tour. And we did mock tours, which they totally loved. Totally joking because they really hated it. But it got them out of their comfort zone. They were able to really follow the roadmap that we're going to show you today. And it really gave them confidence to really just like kill it on the tour. So we're excited to share that with you tonight.
Yeah, so we'll spend some time. It's actually kind of a meaty subject and there's a lot of things. So we'll go through this and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. But really what I wanted to do, my objective here is to give you all a framework and very specific word tracks that you can go through, you can memorize, you can learn it yourself, you can make it your own, and you can give to your managers. So Laura and myself, we haven't done tours in years, and we still almost every week are signing people up and to join our wait list, and it's because we have taught the system to our managers. So I want to stress how important it is for you to have like a real strategy, a real structure to be able to hand off to your team, to train your manager on, to promote your best caregiver as a backup person, right? Like you should not be some of those facilities that when you call in, they're like, oh, let me schedule you with the salesperson, right? Like you should have somebody available every single day who is trained to make sales and close the deal. And that's what we're gonna talk about because we need to make some money here, right? You can't be leaving these beds open. They're too expensive to do that.
So a little housekeeping. If you are new here or are not subscribed, please subscribe, first of all. If you do want to ask a question, you have to be a subscriber. That is YouTube rules, not ours, okay? So just make sure you click subscribe and then you can ask any questions on the chat. I will be checking it throughout the entire webinar tonight. So if you have any questions, pop them in there. If I don't get to them, we'll get to them at the end. Let us know where you're from. Let us know if you're new. I saw a few people say they're new, so let us know you're new. Let us know where you're from. And yeah, we will get to all of your questions.
Awesome. All right, so let me kick off with something here. I want to let you all know. So we opened our new Platinums last week, and we're filling up the first building. We got, like 12 deposits, $5,000 deposits for those buildings. And we'll fill that up real quick, and then we'll open up the second building and fill that up real quick. So the way we are doing this and how we can open, finish construction, get licensed, and open with almost 100% occupancy is this strategy. Well, there's a lot on the marketing side too, but once you have the marketing down and they call and they come in and they tour, this is that part of it, right? A very vital step. So what I want to do here is show you guys. Here is our mansions, right? This is actually the first one that we opened here. So you can see we have this awesome Matterport. So I'm going to use this tonight to show you walking around the building as we talk through the tour and those kind of things. So I just want to give you a little sneak preview here, right? 10,000 square feet, 16 private rooms. These are our mansions here. So as we go through this tonight, I want to kind of make it as seamless and logical as I can. We'll talk through a roadmap for how to do this. We'll talk through the why and how to do this. We'll talk through some of the mental aspects of selling and handling those kind of objectives and things like that for you tonight. So a lot of different things. And I have seen people come back to me and say, hey, Brett, I've used this. I taught my manager this. And all of a sudden she started implementing this and we started getting deposits and we started building a wait list. And it's honestly like, my goal and job is to make this so simple. Like it should be second grade for this kind of stuff. It's not fancy used car salesman kind of stuff. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Follow these steps, right? Do these things, say these things, but you have to be great at what you do, right? You have to provide great care, have a beautiful building. And then it's just like, oh, it's too easy after that. So that's really what kind of want to set the stage with that tonight.
It's not slimy car salesman-y. That's what we didn't
No
want.
douchebags.
So yeah, not allowed.
Right? Okay. So let's talk through really the basics here and get started here. And I would say this, that I'm trying to match my expectations, and I'll say myself as an example here as a trained salesperson, and you guys, after you finish this and maybe you watch it again, become a trained salesperson. I'm trying to match my expectations, right, as someone who's trying to close a sale to the expectations of the families that are touring through the mansions. And I don't want to seem salesy. Have you ever walked into like one of those furniture stores and like as soon as you walk in, those big glass doors open and there's like those people just hanging out there and they like kind of attack you and they're like, hey, can I show you these couches over here, right? And so like Laura and I always go in like trying to sneak past. Well, I walk past let someone go in first and then walk past, right? So we can kind of sneak in. Man, I hate that kind of vibe, that salesy kind of vibe. And so what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is the strategy to not be that way, right? And there's actually a very intentional kind of rhythm that I want to talk to you about this with. So I want to share a couple slides on some of the more intricate stuff, and then most of the time we won't share too many slides, but I want to show you this. This is the family's objective. My goal is to match the family's objective with my objective. So I have this little circle here, and I have one for the family and I have one for myself. So here's really the objective of any kind of family that wants to do a tour. They want to, starting at the top here, right? They want to tour the building. They want to come see the mansion, see the assisted living. They want to see the bedroom, right? What available rooms does mom have? They want to learn about the services and the amenities that this assisted living offers. They want to see the staff interactions, the environment. How is it? How are people being treated? What's the vibe, right? Then they want to go and they find out the pricing, the fees, and then they want to leave the assisted living, right? They want to go tour 5 or 6 other options, check all of those things out, then talk to the other decision makers. So that's the families, right? And then they want to make a final decision. So that's really like the circle of what families are looking for. And I want to show you a design, a roadmap for accomplishing the family's expectations simultaneously while you're accomplishing your own expectations as a trained salesperson. So this is what that looks like. Right here is the objective of a salesperson here. Starting again from the top, you want to learn about the family and the resident, right? Who are they? Why are they here? And while you are learning, but the most important part, you are here to find the pain. And sometimes that might come across a little weird when I say that, but think of it this way, like assisted living, end of life, memory care, it's like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month. There has to be a serious reason why you're here, right? No one goes and spends $10,000 a month if they're not in a lot of pain, right? There has to be a fair trade here. $10,000, man, I better be trading something real big for that, right? And that is solving this pain. So that is your objective. Your objective is to put on your detective hat. How do you find the pain? That's really what we're going to spend this time talking about, finding the pain and solving it. So finding the pain, how is this pain affecting the family, right? First and foremost, the family. You are doing a tour with the son or the daughter, the power of attorney, not necessarily all the time the 85-year-old grandma, right? She's in another facility or she can't make it here, right? So you're interviewing and you're meeting with the family. What pain do they have? Because they are in a lot of pain. If you've been through this with your own family people, man, it's hard, right? It's like wrenching and it's like it takes years out of your time and there is so much pain that it affects the actual family, the son, the daughter, all of those kind of people. So how is it first and foremost affecting the family? And we're going to solve that problem. Secondly, how is it affecting the resident? How is it affecting them? Because obviously they're in a lot of pain, like actually physical pain, but there is a pain there, right? Like what is going on with the resident as they are declining? Are they getting the care that they need at home or in the other big smelly facility? Or what does that look like? So then it is kind of picture perfect, right? What would life be like for the family if the pain was solved? If you solve this for them, right? This is what you're trying to do. Identify the pain and then solve the pain and then charge money for that, for solving the pain. What would the family be like? Would they get their time back? Would they get to be the daughter again? Would they get to spend time on vacation or with their spouse, right? A lot of that stuff is missing. And the same for the next question. What is it like for the family, or excuse me, for the resident, right? You solve their pain. Are they having a better end of life experience? Are they, staying healthy? Are they not getting bed sores anymore? Are they getting more interaction? All the things that go wrong at home while you're alone or in the big smelly facility. So the objective here is we have our circle, and it strategically overlaps in the same kind of expectation circle that the family has. That way, we're not like that douchey salesperson that's walking in, when we walk into the furniture store and you're like getting hounded and attacked, right? It's like, no, here's my objective. I want to have a casual experience walking around sitting on couches, right? Like I can match as a salesperson the experience to both sides. So that's what we're going to spend some time talking through tonight. And I want to set the stage with really kind of the 3 parts to what we do. And this is what it looks like here. I break the tour structure into 3 phases. Phase 1 is just this kind of quick, it's usually 5 minutes or so. It's setting the stage and it's a quick pitch. And so we'll talk through that in a couple minutes here. Then the second part of what we do is the core of it. And I would say this is, probably more of a 20 minutes. It's the actual tour. It's walking through the mansions. It's building rapport and connection. It's finding the pain. That's the majority of this tonight. And then after that, you kind of wrap back up, and that gets back into the offer. It gets talking about scarcity and urgency, and then actually getting down to signing the paperwork, right? A bed hold form, or joining the wait list, giving a deposit check, those kind of things. So those 3 kind of stages here is what I want to talk through. And my objective and goal for you all is to have a kind of linear step by step by step by step. Like I can follow the steps. I can memorize some of these word tracks. I can do this. My heart's in the right place. I want to help people. I have a beautiful building and we can make some sales, right? So let's kick off with this. So first things first is setting the stage. And I think of this in this way. And actually I want to share some parts of the mansions here first. So let me show you this, right? Here's our mansions. We walked in the front door here, right? And this is when we do our tour. I'm here. Here's the front door. We'll greet our potential customers. We come over here and we actually do this in this front little sitting room. This is kind of our sales area right here. And you can see Laura designed it. It's super cute. And not like the big smelly facilities, right? Where you're going into some office and you're away from everything. I want to be right here, like in the heart of the action. We have the great room is right over here. So our grandmas, you can hear, you can see, you can smell, the chef, everything is right over here. So I don't like being locked away kind of in this little secret room that a lot of big facilities do. So that's what we do. When I talk about the structure, the first part of it is really kind of happening in this room over here. And then we'll tour through the building and then I'll come back for the actual sales presentation. Again, kind of right here in this room here. So I just want to share that to give you like a mental picture of how this goes and what this looks like. So setting the stage is really the first kind of things. And what we're trying to do is lower the pressure of the expectation. So like there's no sales pressure. We just want to lower everything down. And by doing that, I'm really just telling them, here's what's going to happen. Here's what to expect. So it's really quick. It's just a sentence or 2. But here's kind of what I want to do. I want to set the stage and say, hey, here's the time, right? This should take 20 to 30 minutes, maybe a little more, depending on how many questions you have. I want to show you the room that we have available. I want to ask you questions about your loved one so that I can find out, is this the right fit for us? Can we help your loved one? And then I would provide you some materials and pricing. I've really just said those 4 things. Here's what we're going to have to do. I'm listing out really their expectations. They're going to see the building. They're going to find out the pricing. They're going to see what's going on here, right? And then they can leave. I'm saying, here's your circle. That's what we're going to do. But simultaneously, I have my own objective as a trained salesperson that I'm going to do as we're going through this, right? So setting the stage, that's usually what happens there. And then I will couple that with what I call the quick pitch. And it's really just my uniqueness, not mine, Brett, but like Platinum Resort or your assisted living. What makes you special, right? And so for us, we are a luxury 16-bed assisted living. We have all of the care and amenities that you could get at the big smelly facility. We do it in a purpose-built, gorgeous mansion. We have our own chef. We have private rooms. We can handle the home health, the hospice, all of those kind of things. So I want to clarify that, right? We are not big smelly facility on one side. We're not dinky little REL on the other. We merge the 2 together. We have a gorgeous purpose-built mansion that can do everything. And coupling that, our niche really is more end-of-life care and memory care. So I want to say these things kind of up front to let people know a lot of times they're not sure, like, hey, is this the right fit for mom based on her care needs? Well, we want to let you know, yeah, you can be here till the end. And a lot of times if you're pretty independent, we're not quite a fit for you. You might be a few more years before you're ready for this. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, mom has, she's wandering, she's behaviors, like, hey, yeah, that's cool. That's what we do. That's what our niche is. And so we want to spend the first couple minutes just, here's who we are, here's what we do, all those kind of things. And, really at this point, I think it kind of goes one of two ways, and it's kind of 50-50. A lot of times, and again, because our niche is end of life, most of our tours are not coming from home. They are coming from the other big smelly facilities. So with that in mind, they have a bigger problem usually, right? Like it's end of life. They're already coming with, here's what's going on with mom, either, at this other facility or not. And sometimes they just kind of verbal vomit. And so I would say half the time it's like, hey, we're starting to set the stage. We want to start digging and do all the tours, and just like, blah. And there's like, family just goes and just unloads. Here's everything that's going on. And it's this, and it's this. And mom has these medications, and she's not doing this, and she's losing weight. And it's like, okay, wow, that was a lot. You just told us everything. Cool. There's all your problem, right? We just put on our hat and like, you just unloaded everything on us. And so honestly, I think a lot of times that is what happens. The other 50% of the time is, they might be like the price nine negotiator kind of person, right? They're keeping everything to themselves, and they're like trying to keep the straight face and like be this hardcore negotiator kind of person. They're going to do what they're going to do. We're still going to run through the exact same structure for what we do, really to get to the point where as we were touring through, we're going to investigate, we're going to find the pain, and we're going to solve the pain if we can. If we can solve the pain, then we're going to make an offer, right? This is a great fit for mom or for dad. We'd love to have him here. So that's kind of what happens here. Anything you want to add to this, babe?
I was ready to just talk about what's going next. So I was ready for that. I really think that since I have been through this circumstance where I was looking for an assisted living for my family member, and I know what I was looking at, I think that I have a different perspective on this. And so I can kind of take the pain that I was going through at that time and kind of flip it on the other side to really connect, I think, with that individual. Because I think that's really what also helps us sell, is that connection that you have with the family member. And in most cases, when people walk into Platinum Resort and they're coming here for a tour, we don't even have to say anything. We literally, they're sold the second they walk through the door. And it's not because it's beautiful. Yes, it is. But there's more to it than that. I think that the family members really see how, the chef is preparing the meals. They can smell the delicious food. They can see the activity going on. They can see the home health and the hospice nurses coming in and hugging family members and hugging the grandparents. They can see our Platinum Angels, which is our caregivers. They can see them interacting with not only the grandparents, but with the family members and with their coworkers and with the managers. And it's this, like, honestly, kind of like a euphoric environment. And it's so different than what they've ever seen before. And I think that alone sells them. And so we purposefully actually have the family member come in and they sit, and we have them sit there for 5 to 10 minutes and wait purposefully. Like, even though we're ready to give them a tour, we want them to sit there and we want them to see the environment and really experience it for themselves. So we're not really telling them what we're going to do and how we're going to care and love for their grandparent or for their loved one. They're seeing it with their own eyes. And I think that alone is really what sells them. They already know this is the perfect spot for mom. She needs to be here. And so I think that's a really important aspect of the tour, is letting them sit in like a common area and wait for you so that they can see what's going on. And they can see the inner workings of your assisted living mansion.
So I'm glad you went there, because, man, you know what? There's a lot of times where we make sales and we don't do anything. And that goes back to what Laura's talking about here, that when you can see the environment, you can feel it, your mom's sitting there watching, and she sees the caregivers, genuinely say, I love you to the grandmas. They see the chef plating out some awesome food, and you can feel the love coming off the plates into the food and the care and in the meals and all those kind of things. That stands out, man. Like, this industry is bad. There is 90% of places are crap, right? If you can be awesome, if you can put heart into it, you don't have to be perfect, right? But if you can genuinely put heart, and from a leadership team, train your management, and then it works down from there, man, you look like rock stars. Couple that with having a gorgeous mansion, and the sales, honestly, they just get too easy. So I'm going to talk to you about all the different strategies and word tracks and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, a lot of times, just throw it out the window. It is just real deal. Like when you provide genuine, awesome care, it doesn't matter what you say after that. So that kind of ties us to the next thing I want to talk about is really emotion over logic. And a lot of times people will use emotion to make big purchases, right? Like you want to go buy a Corvette, right? It's a $100,000 vehicle. You know what you do? You actually make an emotional decision. You imagine yourself, what happens when I get this? Or, I deserve these things. Or you actually make an emotional decision and then you'll justify it to yourself logically. And so it's kind of interesting the way the human brain does it. But you may say, okay, well, I feel like I need this car, right? I need this big thing. I need this trip. I need this handbag. And then, but if I get it, right, I'll be able to, pick up extra shifts on the weekends, or I'll be able to increase my sales, or I'll be able to, network with greater people, all these kind of things, right? Like you'll make this emotional decision and you'll tie it and justify it logically to yourself. And honestly, it's a lot of times the exact same thing with end-of-life care because it is super expensive. And so a lot of what we're trying to do is create an emotional connection during these tours. And this is why Laura talks about how we will literally leave them up there or like in the great room, just sitting and observing and watching and seeing the smells and hearing the things, right? Because we are waiting for this like connection to happen. Like, oh, that lady, she's a sweet old lady. She looks like my mom. Oh, they're going to take care of her like that. What we're trying to do, and we do a great job of this, and it's not sneaky, it's just like we generally provide amazing care, is what our objective is we are trying to show the daughter, it's usually the daughter, that we will provide the love and care that she has been doing at home and that she can no longer do anymore. And man, that's a big thing. So we're trying to provide this emotional connection. And I tell you what, we can charge, we're pretty much the top of the market in our area, and it's not cheap. And people will for sure pay more when they are convinced, emotionally convinced, that mom is going to get a better care, that she's going to be loved here, that she's going to be better taken care of here. So I want you to know that all of these things are part of the sales process from like a subconscious kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this, right? Is the actual tour. And I think of this in this way. You ever play ping pong, right? You have a great match and you hit the ball back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I don't see that happening a lot of times in tours when you go to big facilities. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of times you'll have this person, the sales and marketing director, you go and you'll walk around and they'll literally just spend 15 minutes, 10 minutes walking you through, and they just show you, here's the kitchen, here's the library, here's the dining room, right? Here's mom's room. She has her own bathroom. Here's a closet, right? And they're just pointing things out and just walking through the building, making this lap, right? I think that sucks. And that is what a non-trained salesperson would do. And in this analogy of ping pong, it's almost like you have the ball and you serve it, click, and then someone's standing on the other side of the table and they just look at it and it just drops, right? And so you hit the ball again and they don't put their paddle up, they don't return it. You hit the ball again, you hit the ball again, right? That's a terrible rally, right? You have nothing going on there. A great ping pong rally is like serve, return, serve, return, serve, return, right? And that is what the analogy that I want you to see as we start talking about the next part of this. A great sales tour has this ping-ponging back and forth of here's what we're doing. Oh, this is what it's like for mom. Here's how we do this. Oh, this is what it's like for mom. And I want to put that in perspective and then show you how we do this, because when you are ping-ponging, then you are getting the data, you're getting the information. Your objective here is to put on that investigator hat, right? And be able to find out what is the pain for mom. And I want to show you how we do that and how it's not salesy, but your objective is to walk through the whole mansion or your assisted living, learn all these different things about mom, knock down any objectives along the way. And when you get to the end, be like, man, I would love to take care of your mom. She's gonna be a great fit here, right? Like, what do you think, right? And if you've nailed all of these things along the way, then it makes that super easy. So I wanna share this kind of analogy that we have. And actually, Laura, you wanna talk about?
Yeah, so I actually really enjoy this analogy. I love fun. I always want to have fun in everything I do. And so, in a lot of things I do, I create games. And I do this with like when I'm working out or when I'm talking to people or meeting new people at a new event. I create a game out of it. And so I think creating a game out of touring, I think is easy for most people to grasp. And then because it's easy to grasp, they can then implement it. And it's almost like it's just a natural thing. And so with this tour roadmap, I think of it as Candyland. And I know I'm probably giving away my age because I played Candyland as a kid. And I think of it as each little room in your house is like a square. And so you're going from, one square to the next. And within each square or within each room, you're asking specific questions in order to gain or get the knowledge on the pain of that person or their loved one. And so within each square, you know where you're going next, right? Because it's a path. But then you also know what questions correlate with that square or room as you're going through. So for instance, when we're doing the tour, we start, in the main area because we have the individuals sit there and wait for us for 5 or 10 minutes. They're sitting in kind of little sitting area. And so we kind of start there, ask them about their loved one, let them know what's going to happen in the tour. And then we'll take them to the next square, which can be, the living room. Or the great room is what we call it. And in the great room, we can tell them, this is where most of our grandparents hang out here. We really encourage our grandparents to come out of their rooms. We don't force anybody, but majority of the grandparents are coming out of the room because we want them to have community with each other. Because that's where I think that's where life is when you have people commune together. And I think a lot of times in the big boxes, they don't do that. They kind of leave the grandparents in the room, don't encourage them to come out. And so that can be a pain point for them. And so asking the question like, hey, like, what does your mom usually sit during the day? Is she in her room? Is she in the great room? Is she outside? Is she engaging, at a card game? So gathering information about their loved one at each square is what I call it, or each room. And then when you're gathering that information, you're gathering the pain so that then you're kind of knocking down the roadblocks during the entire tour and letting them know that isn't going to happen here. Like that roadblock you're experiencing maybe in the big box facility on the road, that's not what we do here. We do it different here. And so you're literally like, I envision like just like kicking down those like construction blocks that you see when you're on, construction. You're just like kicking them down and it's knocking down the roadblocks in their mind. And so it's important to gather the information at each square or each room. And we can provide those questions. We'll actually kind of role play a little bit here in a little bit on the questions that we ask to those the potential tours.
All right, so you want to kick off and just kind of show how we do this room by room?
Sure, let's do that.
All right, so I did share this already, but yeah, we'll talk about the great room. So actually, let me share this thing here if I can go back to our virtual tour.
Oh, perfect.
And so again, we kind of set the stage here, and then we're going to come through into the great room, right? And this is one of the first things that we're going to do. We're here in the great room. And so, again, common pain for being in a facility is I don't want to be in a big smelly facility, right?
Yep.
Mom wants to be in her own home. And so how are we, and I guess let me set the stage a little bit further, is as we are talking and going to each of these squares, we are trying to knock down all of those common pain points. So
Correct.
We'll actually go through here the next few minutes. Here's the room on the Candyland board. Here is the common objection or pain that they have, and here is our typical response for those things.
Yeah. So I'd say, like I just mentioned, the common pain point most people say is mom doesn't want to be in a gross facility. And I get that. When you say the word assisted living to anybody, I think the most common word that comes up to people is dark, depressing, dreary, the food stinks, all those negative things. And so if that's the common pain that they're experiencing, mom doesn't want to be in a gross facility, the talking point in the great room is kind of painting that picture in their mind. Granted, they're looking at it, so you don't really have to paint the picture. They're looking at it there. But really explaining, hey, we do life together here at Platinum. We're a large family. We're in a large mansion. And so we encourage everybody to come out to the great room to experience community with each other. We do activities together. We play cards together. We eat meals together. We're doing everything together. Nobody is usually by themselves. If someone wants to be by themselves in the room, they can, but we really do encourage them to come out. And again, show the environment, point out certain things that are happening within the house. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do that because they're going to see it in general, but I think it's important to pinpoint those things so that it kind of solidifies in their mind. Again, let them see the staff, let them see the grandparents in your house, and also let them see the outside service team. I think it's important for them to know that your NP, your hospice company, your home health companies, like you have a really good rapport and relationship with them. It's shocking for families when they come in and I'm hugging our NP and I'm asking how his kids are, or I'm talking to the home health nurse, oh, school started this week, how your kids doing? Like, that's shocking to people. They don't ever normally see that in big boxes. And so it's important for them to see that you have those relationships and really show them that environment.
All right, so we walk through, that's kind of the first thing we do in the great room. Also in the great room, right next to that is our medication room. So our med cart's there. We have our med techs usually passing medications during multiple times of the day. So we'll talk through, that's, I would say, one of the biggest pain points is medications. It is one of two things. Either mom is not getting her medications correctly at the right time or the right dose, or mom is refusing medications and she doesn't have people there that have built trust with her that she'll take the medications from. So I think this is either one or number two on biggest pain point as are going through it. So how are we usually responding to the medications part of this?
Yeah, so I think an important aspect of this is telling the family that you're a triangle. I always tell them we're a triangle. So we're all working together as a team. So each pinpoint on the triangle is somebody. So one of those is the doctor. So their NP or their doctor. The other one is the loved one themselves. That's them. And then the third pinpoint on that triangle is us. It's Platinum Resort. It's the managers. It's our Platinum Angels, everyone who's under the Platinum Resort roof. So we're all working together as a team to create the best possible living solution for the loved one. And so I always tell them that it's not about just what, Platinum thinks. It's not just about what the doctor thinks. It's not just about what the family member thinks. It's all coming together to create that best possible outcome for their loved one. And so I think that's really an important thing to note to your tours. I think it gives them a sense of kind of ease, knowing that it's not just going to be, me as the owner telling, oh, the NP, you need to put this person on this medication so that they're quiet and not causing problems. That's not how we work. We're all together as a team making decisions. And so I think it's important to also note that all of our Platinum Angels are medication delegated. And so that could be different within certain states that you're in. But here in Texas, we have a nurse practitioner, NP, or a registered nurse, come in and do a training on all the medications. And so we do that once a month. So we have this RN come in once a month, train all of our staff on all the medications, the side effects, what these medications are, why someone would need them, what the pill looks like, the dosage, all the different things and aspects about the medication.
Right. So then from there, right, we're in the great room. The next biggest pain point people have is food, right? Assisting living food is not something you're excited about usually, right? And we have our chefs, and each of our mansions has their own private chef, and we have the most awesome, amazing food, and we really want to highlight that. So as we are walking through, right, here's our virtual tour. Here is one of our kitchens. So we have a full kitchen here. It's gorgeous. And right across from that is our dining room. And so as people are touring through, right, a lot of times the common pain is that she's not eating, right? Mm-hmm. That she's losing weight. We hear that all the time. Mom's not eating, she's losing weight. Or that mom is in her room all day and they drop the food at the room and there's no monitoring of actually is she eating? They just take the food away a couple hours later and she's not eating, right? So how do you handle some of these objectives?
Yeah, so we let them know that our Platinum Angels are very involved within the food and also our chef. So our Platinum Angels sit at the tables at every meal with our grandparents. And if they need extra cueing, like if they need to be reminded, okay, it's time to take a bite, or if they actually need help eating, like we actually need to spoon feed them, that's something that we can provide. So I think that's something that gives them ease of mind, knowing that someone's going to be at the table, going to be seeing exactly what they're eating and how much they're eating. And then also the chef knows what everyone likes and dislikes. If there's an individual who doesn't like fish, then that's totally fine. We can make a chicken breast instead. And so the chef knows exactly what people really, really like and really, really don't like. And so he can accommodate from there. And then Our Platinum Angels also monitor the food intake. So these are the charting things they're doing after each shift. They're monitoring exactly how much they ate. So it's usually percentage. We do 25, 50, 75, or 100%. And so that's monitored in the log, knowing exactly what they ate and how much they ate that day. So if there is an ongoing problem of them not eating enough, we're going to jump on top of it and talk to the doctor and the family and let them know.
Absolutely. So as we're continuing down the Candyland board, right, we talk through the chef, then we come over and we talk about our salon. And I like to talk about the salon, less necessarily about the barber, but about all of the outside services. So we talked about how that our family, we're solving pain, right? We're solving pain for the family. And I'll actually use the salon as part of this to describe that, because what we do is we use the salon for all of our outside services. So there's 10 different services that are not on our payroll. They're not on our insurance. There's no liability risk from them. All the medical people will come in to our building and we'll set up the salon like a little doctor's office. So can you explain how we solve pain points for this?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times when, say, the daughter is actually caring for the grandparent, say they're living at home with them, there comes a point where I think, the son or daughter just gets super overwhelmed by all of the care needs that this individual needs. And so showing them the salon and letting them know that it's not just about hair that we do in here. We have the podiatrist that comes in quarterly. They come in, it's a foot doctor, looks at the feet, cuts the nails, does all the things. And people just love that, because a lot of times the daughters or sons, they don't want to touch the feet of their parent. And so they're like, great, I'm so glad you guys are taking care of that. Awesome. We also have a mobile dentistry that comes in, and they come in and, they do cleanings. They come in every 3 months, even though the grandparents are getting their teeth cleaned every 6 months. And so that's something that they don't have to pick up their loved one and drive them over, to the dentist and do that. That's a lot for a lot of these daughters and sons. And so being able to take care of that in-house is something that's kind of just a weight off of their back. Another thing is just the salon services in general, cutting mom's hair or trimming dad's beard. Like, it could just be one of those things that it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's just one more thing that they have to do. And so being able to provide that as well, again, that's an option in the house. They don't have to do that. But making sure that the family knows that these are things that can be taken care of, it just honestly just puts an ease and a peace in their mind. And so again, we're trying to knock down all those roadblocks. And this is a roadblock that is super important to the family members.
Absolutely. So then we're rolling through and we're looking at the bedrooms, right? Everyone wants to see what's the room. And so here's our rooms. We have 16 private rooms in each mansion. They are about 330 square feet each. And so we'll tour through here and you can see Laura designed the room. Every bedroom is like a master bedroom. They have a fireplace. They're electric. There's no actual fire there, but the TV's there. They have their own closet. They have their own built-in dressers. We staged this room specifically, and we can provide furniture and things for them. But here's, again, what our rooms look like. So as we are showing the room, it's less about the room, right? The common pain point that families have is that mom is left alone in her room all day. If she's coming from a big facility, and most of our grandmas are, that's literally the case. She's in her room 20 hours a day, right? They're bringing the food, and just the environment and the culture is just like, ugh, and dreary, right? That like no one wants to be out in the great room anyways. It's like, ew. So I was just gonna be in my own room. So how do we address this?
So we tell the daughter or son that I think it's important to note that your loved one will only be in their room when it's either nap time or they're sleeping at night. Majority of the time that's spent is out of their room. And they're going to see that when they're there, because majority of the grandparents in our house, they're not in the rooms. They're out in the great room. And so you don't really have to, prove it to them because they see it. And so we tell them that we invite them out of the room. We have our Platinum Angels going into the room and encouraging them to come out. Again, we don't force anybody to come out, but we highly encourage them to come out. And we're usually playing some games, and we kind of entice them with what's for lunch and different things like that to have them come out of the room and to really socially engage. And so I think that's really important to know that, mom is not going to be in her room with her lights off and her blinds closed, stuck in the dark all day. She's going to be out and engaging with the rest of the grandparents in the house.
So then we have the bathroom, right? And each of our bedrooms has their own private bathroom. And so full, you can see roll-in shower here. This is ADA for as people get to end of life. We help with showers. So everyone has their own private bathroom here. And I think that's super important. A lot of people really insist that they have to have a bathroom for mom. And, but really common pain point is mom is sitting in a wet brief all day, right? Mom's not getting her, care needs met in that way. How are we addressing these things?
Yeah, we're crazy schedulers, I think, at Platinum. Like everything that happens during the day is scheduled. And so I can walk into Platinum at any time of the day and I'll know exactly what's going on because everything's scheduled. Like from 30-minute increments, I know what's happening. And so because of that, we're able to really schedule showers. So the loved one knows exactly the certain day and time, to be honest, that their loved one is getting a shower. And so they never have to question if they're going to be clean because they know exactly when they're getting that shower done. We also have reminders for toileting if they're able to toilet on their own. But then we also have 2-hour checks. So no matter if they're wheelchair bound, then we're checking their brief every 2 hours. If not, if they're independent and they're able to walk around, we're still doing reminders and then also checking as well to be sure that they're clean.
Absolutely. So we're kind of walking through the building, wrapping things up here, and you can see some of our awesome areas like the library, the garden room. We talk about our outdoor spaces as well. Again, we're in Texas, so a lot of times there's great weather half the year and bad weather half the year. But during great weather, we will go and we'll spend time outside. And so this is kind of what we're wrapping up the Candyland board here, right? We spent probably 15 minutes, 10 minutes on this tour, going zigzag through the different rooms, saying, here's what we usually see, right? Preemptively trying to solve the pain. And then we're having this ping pong, right? Here's what our chef does for meals. How is mom eating? What does she have any dietary things, right? We are asking and trying to get a response back and forth, room by room by room, so that by the time we have finished this tour, we have knocked down all of their objectives in their own mind. And we have found the pain, and it's usually multiple things, right? But there's usually one big thing there, right? We want to find family pain. Sometimes you can get it. Sometimes the daughter comes and verbally vomits and like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen my grandkids in months because I'm taking care of mom 24/7, right? Like that's a pretty big pain, right? And mom is a 2-person transfer and she's not taking her medications anymore and she's having behaviors and all the different things, right? That's a lot of pain. That is something for you to solve. And that is why we are in business, to help these people, right? So that's kind of what I want to transition back to is we finished a tour. For us, that kind of leads us into the third section of this. We usually go back to, our little front sitting area. And this is the time, again, I'm meeting the expectations of the family. So now I have showed them the building. I've showed them the room. My expectation is next that I'm going to go and give them the information. I'm going to give them the packet. I'm going to give them the pricing. And so we have digital and we have, physical packets that we'll hand people. I do recommend having both because with the digital stuff, they can send it, text it to their sons, daughters, other, brothers, sisters, all that kind of stuff. So we're really kind of going along the thing here. And the offer is what we're getting to next. The offer is honestly super, super simple, not salesman-y, not like used car salesman kind of stuff. You have spent 10, 20 plus minutes with them, right? You've asked about their loved one. You've told them about what you do. Honestly, it's just, is it a fit, right? And so if you know that this resident, this future grandma or grandpa is a great fit, that you can legitimately solve the problems that you've seen, then you say, yeah, I would love to. If you can't, then obviously you just refer like, hey, let's go over here, right? They can do memory care. They can do this, or maybe it's not. Maybe they're too independent. They don't have enough problem or pain. And for us, it's not a great fit. We're like, okay, hey, you should go over here. But this is essentially it. We're going to go through and I'm going to get back to the place. I'm going to hand them everything and just say, hey, you know what? I would love to take care of your mom. I think she'd be a great fit here. And then I'm going to list out the pains. I'm going to list out pain 1, 2, 3 and say, here's how we can solve it for them. And this is essentially my offer, right? It goes like this. I would love to have your mom here. I think she would be a great fit for us. I know you communicated that she's not eating well and she's losing weight in the other facility. Ricky, he is our chef. He memorizes all our grandma's dietary stuff. So even if she's having a picky day, he'll be able to custom make something for her and make sure she's eating. And then with medications, right? All of our staff, including our night staff, they are med delegated. They will know everything. We have a very tight-knit loop between ourselves and the doctor. You're going to be in the loop. We'll be able to, remove some of these excessive medications or maybe increase whatever the problem or pain is, right? And I want to list out, here's pain, A, B, C, right? and then say, you know what, I know that she would fit in with these grandmas. We would love to be able to take care of her. I think it's a good fit. What do you think? And that's literally my offer, right? Identify pain, 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 solve, solve, solve. I think it's a great fit. What do you think? And then I'm just hand it back to them, right? And then usually by this point, if you've done a great job and they know the market, meaning they have been in the industry and they don't need to go see 6 other places. They've already done that. Then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. I understand. I know this is where we need to be. What do I do next? Right? And so as we're kind of talking through that, I'm going to get to the paperwork and stuff, but I want to share 2 other things, and that's scarcity and that's urgency. So I want you to be honest and legitimate with this, but if a lot of times you can use these 2 tools to help you make the close, and just a little extra pressure that gets you there. And so scarcity is, I have a limited source of these, right? And you only have so many rooms. And most of the time we are full and we have a wait list. And so when someone's touring, actually a lot of times it's like, we don't have any open rooms, so join the wait list. But when a room does become available, that's scarcity, right? Like, this is the only room. You better get this room because it's gonna be gone, right? Like, so as you're going through here, right? Hey, I would love to take care of mom. I think she'd be a great fit for us. This is the only room that we have available right now. And, you know, I don't know when the next room is going to be, right? So that's scarcity. I would say it. If you only have 1 room, if you only have 2 rooms, if whatever it is, like you only have 16 more rooms, I don't know what your situation is, but use scarcity there. And then you couple that with urgency. Urgency is act now, move quick, right? I have more tours coming. I have, you know, this room is usually sold in a day or 2. And that's the case for us, right? Like, we have a room, it's usually sold by the end of the week. So there is scarcity because there's only 1 usually. And then there's urgency. You better act now because I have another tour tomorrow. We have, you know, 3, 4, 5 tours a week at Platinum. And we just let people know. If you don't let people know that there is a timeline, that if they don't act now, they're going to miss it, then you're not acting in their best interest. So I guess think of it from that perspective. You're not trying to be salesy. If you provide amazing care, then loving them is letting them know, act now. Right? I'm going to take care of your grandma the best. My team will. And if this is a great fit, boom, I need you to jump on this because in 2 days, this is going to be gone. So I think those 2 things together, a lot of times people are hesitant to use scarcity and urgency, but if you're genuinely providing great service, then just be honest and tell people, this is not going to last. Like, we got to go here. Anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, there was one thing, not really associated with urgency or anything, but there have been a few times where family members who are touring, they want to talk to some current family members who are, you know, have their loved one in the house. And so there have been, I think maybe just a handful of times that we've reached out to a family member who's been with us for 2+ years and asked them, hey, you know, there's someone who toured today and they really want to talk to someone who's had their loved one in Platinum. Are we able to, you know, connect you to so you can have a conversation? And usually our families are super sweet and kind, and they actually love to do that. They want to share, you know, how great Platinum is. And so if that's something that's maybe a roadblock that you're seeing, that maybe they want to hear from someone who's in the house and experienced the care, I think that's not a problem at all. I think reach out to those family members who've been with you for quite some time and know that you give great care and, you know, like and trust you. And then just connect that tour with that family member and then let them take it from there.
So to kind of wrap up the close part of this, it's honestly, is it a good fit? A lot of times, yes, it is. Sometimes it's like, let me talk to my brother or something like that. And then they'll call back, you know, later on that day. And so we have paperwork that's ready. It's printed. It's right there for them, right? It's a bed hold and a move-in deposit, and they kind of go hand in hand. But we charge a fee. It's a non-refundable. It's $5,000, and we'll collect that via check or usually check, but we can send an invoice for them to hold that bed for us. So they're signing the form. I'm holding room 3 for the next 30 days to move in my loved one on this non-refundable deposit, right? And that's about it. It gives you this time to get your ducks in a row. You're going to go and do your care plan and assessment, all that kind of stuff with the grandma. If from our side, if it's not a good fit, we'll give the check back. But otherwise, this holds the room for you so you can stop doing tours. And so that's really the whole schedule and structure for what we do for touring. Mm-hmm. So we have a couple announcements, little things, and then we can hit questions.
Perfect.
What do you want to do first?
Let's do announcements.
Okay. So we do this every month, like I said. Next month is September 4th. It's going to be same time, 6:30 p.m. Central, live here on my YouTube channel. And we are talking about, drum roll as I look at what we're checking. Okay. Minimizing risk while maximizing profit. And so a lot of people think they're hesitant to get into the assisted living space because there's all this medical risk and there's liability, you're gonna get sued and all these kind of things. I wanna show you the strategies that we use to really cut that risk down so small while simultaneously increasing the potential profit, because this is a huge profit center. And a lot of these other deals, apartments, syndications, all this kind of stuff is not working anymore in the current market space. So assisted living is where it's at.
We didn't have any medical experience, if that makes you feel any better, when we came into this. So that was something that we did, and it was a risk at the time, but now, like, looking back, it was like, oh man, like, such a great opportunity. And so glad we jumped on that.
Yeah.
Also, if you're interested in building your own assisted living mansion, like we just showed you, make sure that you go to assistedlivingmansion.com. You can schedule a free 15-minute consultation call with one of our team members. So check that out if you're interested in that. If you're like, I love this, I want to build my own, you can do it too, wherever you're located. And so check out that website, click on that to schedule a 15-minute call. Also, check out our socials. So we're on Instagram like everyone else, right? Like we should be. On Instagram, we're on Facebook. So check out Assisted Living Mansion on those social outlets, and you will see probably this face and this mohawk. So if you want to see more of that, check that out.
Right. It's a faux hawk, actually.
I mean, I guess so. That is true. And then also on our website, we also have a few free trainings on there too that are super, super amazing. And I'm saying that because I know they are. A foundations training, a construction training. If you're interested in that, please check that out. That is something that it really does deep dive into the nitty gritty. It's not some fluff thing that you hear on a lot of other places. This is the real deal stuff. So check that out as well.
And on that note, you mentioned the construction training. So it is another course. I'm almost done with it. So in the next few weeks, expect to see that. But if you have not gone through all the courses yet, blow through those. There's 3 courses so far, and then construction is number 4, and they kind of go sequentially as you're building through the deal. So I should have that for you guys very, very soon.
Also, check out a couple podcasts that we have going on. I'm sure you guys know Brett's Assisted Living Investing, or ALI, as he likes to call it. So check that out. He talks about all things getting started within this industry. Brett and I also have a podcast called The Donkey and the Bee, where we talk about all things marriage, entrepreneurship, and finances. So if you're interested in that, check that out as well. And then also tell them about Mansion Builder Blueprint, MBB.
MBB. So we started this earlier this year, and we spend 2 days together here in our mansions in Georgetown. People fly out, spend time with the team, and really we walk you through pretty much the whole thing. You spend 2 days, you learn the model, and then you breakout session with our team. So you'll work with the marketing team, you work with the construction team, you work with the funding team, you'll meet our preferred lenders, you'll see the mansions, and really we break into these little small groups, right, where we can review your deals. You'll have a lot of our tools, our Performa. I'll build out your model for you, all those kind of things. We'll look at your site review with our construction manager. So for people who are looking to get into this, you're kind of serious about it, you want to come out, that is something that you can do. Again, hit the website, assistedlivingmansion.com, talk to the team, and see when the next one is.
Okay, that was a lot of housekeeping.
Yeah,
housekeeping.
lots of good stuff.
So we have a few questions here I wanted to get to. So this is a good question for you, Brett.
Okay.
What's the best way to handle this is too expensive objection, especially when a family hasn't fully grasped the value of the comprehensive care yet?
Well, I kind of put that into 2 boxes. Box number 1, you are new to end-of-life care and you have sticker shock because you have no idea how expensive it is. You just got to get over that. There's nothing that is cheap in end-of-life care, especially if you're talking about memory care. So a lot of times that's the case. A lot of times otherwise, if you do know what things are like here, and a lot of times you'll see numbers, especially when you're looking online, of things that are, $4,500, $5,500, and those are fake numbers. Those are the a la carte pricing where you have the base rent. A lot of the big national chains are very much, they do this model, base rent, and then they'll charge you a la carte for these other services. And they're the ones who decide whether you get these other services, right? Like they have this CRM and they go through and they click every time that you need help, every time that you need assistance, every time you need a medication, right? And it just all adds up. And it's like, boom, like you had this $5,500, room, and now you have an extra $4,500 in charges and fees. And so there's a lot of hidden stuff in the industry. There's no way to get around it. End of life care or memory care is super expensive, even in pretty much all markets. So I think the lowest I see is about $6,500 for this type of product, right? Assisted living on the entry level side and independent, totally different, but it's just expensive. So again, like you get what you pay for. And I'm pretty blunt about that. We talk about our staff, they meet our staff, they see our staff, and we'll tell them. And here's the biggest problem in the industry, and you can let them know, is job jumping. Terrible culture and environment from the top down, and then your caregivers will be there 3 to 6 months. Your manager will be there 3 to 6 months, and they just constantly turn. And I'll show them, like, and we'll introduce her. Here's our managers. They've been with us 4+ years. Here's our staff. They've been with us 2+ years. All these caregivers, right? Like, this is stability. This is consistency. There is people here who love on your grandma, and we charge more for that, and we pay our staff more for that. And that is what it is.
Next question. What's the ratio of caregivers that y'all use per patient? For example, in Georgia, where I'm at, it's 1 caregiver to every 15 patients. So where we are, or what Platinum does, we have 2 Platinum Angels on 24/7. So we have 3 different shifts. We have a 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., a 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., and then a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So each one of those shifts, we have 2 Platinum Angels on. Now, with that being said, during the day, I have at least 2 managers within the house as well. And then I also have a chef, if you want to count that. I mean, our chef's pretty amazing, and he actually does help sometimes with certain things. So with that being said, then I technically have, 5 individuals for 16 grandparents. And so I don't necessarily tell that to the family because that's not a real number to me. It's really 2 Platinum Angels. Like, they're the ones who are actually there giving care. Granted, we can have the managers come and help, but it's 2 for every 16.
Yeah. So it's a 1 to 8. But it's direct care staff.
Correct.
Right. And then the manager are there for that extra help when they need it. And then none of our caregivers are doing the dishes. They're not cooking. They're just taking care of grandmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Another question is, let's see, beyond the tour guide, what's one simple actionable thing the entire staff can do to make a family feel more welcome and confident during their visit?
I know a bunch of different places that will go and schedule their tour and almost stage it where chef is making a pie for them and all these kind of fake things. We don't. It's just come and see it. Drop in anytime, right? You can't fool us. At 24/7, it's great care and it's love. And but with that in mind, we will schedule it for certain times of the day, usually between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. So that they're seeing morning activity and they're seeing lunch and all that kind of stuff with the chef. But I don't think we really do anything special. I think Laura holds a very high standard and there's excellence there. What would you say to that?
I honestly think it's getting to know them as a person, not just asking about their loved one. I like to know about them. Hey, so what do you do for a living? Or, do you live in this area? Or where are you from? Or what do you do on the weekends when you're not working? Or just asking questions to get to know them. Because I think people like talking about themselves. And when they're talking about themselves, usually they'll calm down a little bit. Because a lot of times they're nervous when they're coming in and doing a tour. And so you want them to be calm and you want them to be genuine. And so I think just genuinely asking them questions about them, I think is a real open door, and it helps them really, I think, engage within the tour as well.
Yeah.
Last one is, when a key decision maker, like a family member, is not present on the tour, what are your best strategies for ensuring they still feel included and get the information they need to say yes?
What do you think about that?
So I think my first thing that I thought of was the actual virtual tour that we just showed you. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I love about that, is if there is a decision maker who is not in the area, maybe they're out of state, they still want to feel involved in, the decision of where their loved one is going to stay. And so if we can send them to our website, once you go on our website, it's literally a drone footage showing everything. It's walking through, the entire house. So after they watch that, they can click on virtual tour. They can literally click through the entire house and see, how beautiful it is. They can go on Google. They can read the reviews. They can go on Facebook. They can see the engaging activities. They can see all the things that we post on Facebook, all the great food. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. It's almost stupid for them to say no. So that's exactly what you want. You want to have all of the evidence on on the internet so they can go on, they can see it. So don't just have a terrible website and expect people to say yes to you all the time. Give them tools to look at so that they can then make a decision and literally just want to scream yes at the top of the mountaintops.
Yeah. So if you want to check out a website, ours is platinumresortassistedliving.com. That's where the virtual tours are. That's where all the stuff that Laura just mentioned. Old school stuff that, big facilities have been known for is just give you this folder with all this different stuff in it, right? And like there's no digital anything. I lean heavily, probably 85, 90% towards digital stuff and less of this paper stuff, because for that exact reason, right? You'll have daughter come and she needs to, check with brother. So what you also do, we haven't talked about it today, but is set up all of your follow-up systems and your CRM and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's super important that you can have, right, you finish this tour and boom, you text, right? Here's the text. Here's the link for my virtual tour. So that can be forwarded to brother or sister or whomever, right? Here is the testimonials, right? And so you can have a drip with all this kind of stuff. You can have, obviously, get their email and that kind of stuff when you're doing the tour. But I think it's super important. It's like this digital stack. Like it should be overwhelming. And if you go on our social media, look at Platinum Resorts Facebook, I mean, our KPI is to post like almost every single day. And you just go, it's like, here's the love and the care and the great food and the chef and all the different things. And then you go to, the big smelly facility, any of them, look at their website, look at their social. It's all stock photos. It's all fake. And it's like, well, that doesn't tell me anything. Here's the real deal, right? I think it is just overwhelming with the digital real deal.
Mm-hmm. Another question. Sorry, I know I said it was the last one, but this will be the last one. How often do you have activities scheduled to keep your residents engaged during the week? And does the family members ask about this? So yes, family members ask about this. We have 2 activities that are scheduled a day. And so we have a whole activity closet that we have literally stacked from top to bottom, all sorts of different activities for our Platinum Angels to run an activity. So we have a 10:30 a.m. activity, which is right before lunch. And then we also have a 3:30 p.m. activity, which is right before dinner. And so either the Platinum Angels run that, or we have family members that will come in and run that, or we have volunteers that will come run that, or we have home health or hospice that will come in and run those as well. So we have lots of opportunity for people to come in and to run those. And so we'd make sure that we do 2 each day.
Well, awesome.
That's it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys being with us. And again, if you're not watching this live, you may watch, this will be on the YouTube, go back. And honestly, I've heard a lot of people be successful with this structure. Send this to your manager. Send it to your best caregiver. That's why this is here. That's why this is recorded, for this to make it easy for you.
Awesome. Well, with that, we will see you on September 4th for the next workshop.
All right.
Awesome.
Bye, everybody.
See y'all.